What's going on, guys, and welcome back to this week's Bourbon of the Week. You probably see a little bit different of a setup. What we have here is our Patreon channel video that we're going to start doing. We have a couple Patreons. Basically, I sent them some bourbon samples. We did our own tasting on our Discord, private channel, private chat. We all hopped on video. I sent them a bunch of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the A120, the A121, the C920, the B517 that I have. So I sent them a whole bunch of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, one, because I wanted to get rid of it because I don't enjoy it. But what they did, they actually got together without me knowing, and they decided to send me some samples back. And that's what we've got here. Great content from our Patreons. If you don't already, check me out on Patreon, www.patreon.com/bourbon of the week. That link will be in the description below. But this is our first one from Hozer. This is four different whiskeys here. I'm assuming these are all bourbons. We didn't really go over any rules. I'm just kind of winging this as we go. Assuming they're all bourbons. I don't know if I've had them or not before. I might have had them. I might not have had them. This is obviously blind. We have the answer key here. Do not open, obviously. I've got a piece of paper here just so I can take notes. We got a pencil here as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, this here is 4, 3, 2, 1. I think it inverts for yours, so it might look correct. But I do it this way, so I'm reading, you know, like you read a book, this side to this side. So this one's number 1, this one's number 2, 3, 4. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start with 4. This is a little tipsy, so we're going to be careful. But everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. It's not too bad. So like I mentioned, I know nothing about any of these bourbons or whiskeys. Again, I'm just assuming that they're all bourbons because I think they would send me bourbons for a Bourbon of the Week review. We're going to drink them all. We're going to rank them 1 through 4. Then we're going to find out what they are. We started off with number 4. Number 4 seems to be like a pretty good proof behind it. This is my first sip of alcohol for the night. So everybody knows that first one kind of burns a little bit. So we're going to come back to it because I bet you this one's probably like the highest proof. And by the time I sip it, I'll be like, oh, this is 80 proof. We got some water to cleanse the palate. I burnt my tongue too on some Elio's pizza. If you don't eat Elio's, I don't care. Number 3. Let's get into number 3. We're just going to sip all real quick, and then we're going to come back through real quick. That one tastes familiar. Tastes like something I've had before, but I've had so many bourbons before. It's good. I like it. We're going to get into number 2 here, though. We're just going to go through, and then we'll come back real quick. Ooh. Again, see? I should have cleansed the palate. That one's different. That one's easy to drink. I don't think I've had it before. This one seems familiar. 4 and 2, I don't really think that I've had before, just off of one sip. It's kind of crazy how you can get in your mind what you've had before and what you haven't, just because you kind of pick up on these notes. Each individual distillery has their own tasting notes. You can kind of tell if it's MGP at this point with where I'm at in my drinking capabilities. But then again, we'll get to the end of this and none of them will be right. So let's see. Number 1. That is unique. Number 1 is the most different, I think. The most unique out of all 4 of them as far as the bourbons go. This one seems the most unique. But let's get into this. Let's get back into number 4 and let's really go over and dissect what we can get out of these. So the first thing, the things I like to talk about on my channel, price, taste, drinkability. We obviously aren't going to know the price of any of these because we didn't buy them, we didn't sample them, we don't know what they are. But drinkability and taste is something that we can definitely talk about on this. Number 4 here seems to be high proof again compared to the rest of these. I'm not sure exactly if it's higher or lower, but it seems to be in that higher proof range. And then taste we talk about. I'm usually pretty good at tasting like a high rye. If I can get a high rye mash bill, I'm usually right on top of it, especially if it's like a high proof high rye. I'm like, that's exactly what that is. So again, these could be ryes. These could be rye bourbons. They could be rye bourbons. They could be ryes. They could be bourbons. They could be straight whiskeys. I have no idea. There were no criteria when we started this. But 4 seems to be a higher proof, lower rye bourbon if I were to have to guess. I think it's probably in that like maybe 110 to 115 range. And then the rye content, I'm not too sure on. These are like the little minute things that I can pick out. Rye, you know, if there's any age behind it, I can usually tell. This one seems to be a little bit younger maybe, although I'm not too sure about that. So 4, I'm saying low rye, 110 to 115 proof. And the crazy part is if I haven't had any of these, I don't know, maybe I'll look it up on the computer before I revisit and tell you guys all about it, but maybe I'll just go with it and see what I have. Number 3 tastes familiar. Again, I don't know if it's something that I've had before. This tastes a little bit lower proof than this, but it's still, this like a bottled in bond maybe. Maybe like a, it's not Woodford. Woodford isn't 100 proof or anything like that. This one tastes familiar though. For some reason, I don't know why. It's sweet. It's got a pretty good kick to it, but also at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's a high proof. Not a lot of rye, I don't think. Maybe like a medium rye, like a 12 to 15% rye range. I'm smelling my water. This is where I'm at in my drinking career. I'm over here sniffing my water. So 3, I'm saying like maybe a bottled and bond 100 proof, sweet and low rye, like low rye, 10 to 15% rye. Let's see what other tasting notes we can get off this. This is what we're still terrible at. We're still trying to figure this part out. Yeah, definitely a lower rye mash bill, if any rye at all. See, again, that might not be, it's definitely not a wheated bourbon, but it's sweet, easy to sip. Let's see though, this one over this one, as of right now, I think, just because of the drinkability on this one. But let's get into number 2 here. Okay, there's the rye. There's the rye that these two are lacking, or this one low rye, this one no rye to low rye, and this one is rye. This is 100% rye, not 100% rye, but this is, I don't even know. It's definitely a higher rye than these two here, but nothing too crazy, at least not on the spiciness front either. Age behind this, not too sure. They definitely all seem a little bit younger, not crazy young, not like 1 or 2 years old, but maybe like that 5 to 6 year range. I feel like that's a happy medium. The flavor profile on that one's weird. Something's different about that than these two. A lot sweeter over here, a lot spicier over here, more of that craft distillery type flavor profile when you're talking about this one. Take it easy. But let's get into number 1. Let's see what this one does. I didn't even write down notes for number 2. This one's the weirdest one so far, for sure. It tastes different, but I don't know if it tastes different because I just drank these 3. These are all over the board. This one I didn't even give a proof on. Number 3, I think this is probably like maybe like a 110 proof. These two seem very similar in proof. This one seems a little bit lower. And then this one probably seems the lowest proof, perhaps. I don't know. This one's tough. This one might be the lowest proof, actually. It's somewhere in there. So this one, what did I say? Low rye, 110, 115 proof. 100 proof, sweetness, maybe a 10 to 15% rye. This one is 100% rye forward. I don't know what kind of rye or how much rye, but this one's rye forward. This one has more rye than these two. And then this last one, rye forward. And for proof on this, let's try and guess a proof on this. I'm going to say this one's 100 proof as well. I'm going to stick with 100 proof on this one. On number 2, 100 proof. And then back to number 1. Number 1, again, seems the most different, but is it my favorite flavor profile? Sweet, a little bit of rye, well balanced. Maybe, again, a little bit of kick to this one. Maybe like 110 proof on this. I'm going to say 110 proof. I'm going to say this is like a traditional bourbon. This is your traditional bourbon, while these 3 are weird. This is either a whiskeys or a ryes. Not a rye, but like this almost seems like this first one almost seems, it's not though. It was the second one actually that I was thinking. Like a Woodford. It's something that I've had before, but I just can't put my finger on it. I feel like. This one's different. This one's definitely different. I've definitely never had this one before. I'm not sure if I've had this one. And then the last one tastes like something I probably should have had, or probably might have had, but I just can't really put my finger on it. It's just your traditional bourbon flavors. A little minute, a little light, a little less aged maybe, and then a little bit spicier than I would expect. With like, even looking at the color of this one. This one's a little lighter in color compared to these 3, but it might be my favorite one. So here we go. Here's what I think. Here's my order that I'm going to pick it. I'm going to go number 2 first. I think number 2 is my favorite. Then I said number 1. Number 1 is definitely a close second. These two are almost interchangeable. Then I said 4. Number 4 is third. And then, of course, number 3 coming in last, unfortunately. It's almost like 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4, and that's where I'm going to put it. Let's open this up, and let's see what we were drinking on. We've wasted enough of your time tonight. I'm terrible at this. We've got to get better at it. Let's see what we've got here. Ripping this open, and the results are in. We're going to go in order. So I picked 2 first. 2 is Smooth Ambler Old Scout Rye. That's what 2 is. I've seen this on the shelves, I'm pretty sure, here in Pennsylvania. If I'm not mistaken, is that a single barrel? Isn't the Smooth Ambler Rye a single barrel? I'm not positive about that. But you got rye. It's definitely rye on this. 100%, so it's rye, so it's at least 51% rye. I'm not sure if it's more or less than that. I would have to look up the mash bill. We're not even going to look it up. We're just going to say this is rye. I thought it was a rye, and I didn't think it was a rye. I thought it was a high rye. I said what, like 30% rye, which that wouldn't even make sense, because then you would have like 1% malted barley. Anyway, rye, Smooth Ambler, Old Scout Rye. That's what we've got here. Up next, number 1, Very Old Barton. This is a 100 proof Very Old Barton, obviously coming out of Sazerac. I see this on the shelves a lot. They only have the big ones in New Jersey. Never seen it here in Pennsylvania. But the Very Old Barton, I've done a lot of research on this one. This is Sazerac. I think it used to be age stated. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this used to be a six-year age statement on this. And it also used to be a bottled and bond. I'm not sure if it is anymore, and I'm not sure which one we're sipping on here. But I'm pretty sure Sazerac used to have a age-stated, bottled and bond, Very Old Barton. But I'm not sure, again, we'll have to ask Hozer which one we're sipping on. But this is good. This is like bottom shelf bourbon, quote unquote. Bottom shelf bourbon. But this stands up. I mean, this almost beat out all of these for number 1 spot. Very Old Barton, making a very old, surprising jump up here and in the number 2 spot. Up next, number 4. Number 4 was our next one, which is Chattanooga. I don't know much about Chattanooga. He wrote on here 111 proof. So I said, what did I say? Number 4, I said 110 to 115. So we were close. Chattanooga. Do I know anything about Chattanooga? I don't think I do. I don't know a mash bill. There's got to be no rye in this. There's got to be little to no rye. I don't know like what the lowest rye mash bill is. Usually everything I see is like that 10 to 12% or higher. So anything in this is probably down there or lower. Chattanooga, 111 proof. Let me know what you know about it. And last but certainly not least, unfortunately, what do we got? Number 3, Rowan's Creek. So this is our list. I don't know if you can see that. If not, I'll take a picture of it. Number 3 is Rowan's Creek, which is weird because I said it was familiar. What do I have? I don't have Rowan's Creek, right? I have Noah's Mill, if I'm correct. They're the same thing. There it is. I have Noah's Mill. I'm pretty sure these are both Willet products. Rowan's Creek. I don't know the mash bill. I don't know the proof. This one's like 114.3 proof. I don't think it's like that though. I don't think it's like a higher proof like that though. But it's not. I mean, it's not terrible. I didn't love the Noah's Mill. So I never got the Rowan's Creek because I didn't think I would like it either. Just because they're the same. I think they're Willet. Are they not Willet? Am I wrong about that? Not my favorite. And that's where it fell on this. But listen, this was fun. This is 4 drinks that I've never had before. Although I was close on one. I think I got pretty close on my guesses. Again, not knowing anything about any of these, it's kind of tough. Very Old Barton. So what do we have again? We had 2 first. Smooth Ambler, Old Scout Rye, number 1. Then we had Very Old Barton coming in at a close second. Chattanooga and Rowan's Creek, basically 3 and 4, interchangeable either way. But that's what we've got. Thank you, Hozer. Thank you to my Patreons for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Guessing these, putting these in order. I hope I put them in the right order. These are probably the completely wrong order compared to what everybody else thinks. But that's where I put these for. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. I drop an image of the bourbon that I'm going to review. You can go on and try and guess the score that I'm going to give it. If you guess the closest, I'll give you a shout out on the channel as well as enter you in a monthly drawing for some cool prizes such as custom Glens. We have hoodies. We have t-shirts. We're doing hats soon. Also, check me out on Patreon. Again, without my Patreons, I wouldn't have this content right here. We're going to try and do this weekly up until they stop sending me stuff. And check us out on Discord. Once we get to 100 people on Discord, both of those links down below, we're going to do a Discord-only giveaway. And that's where we're going to leave you for today. Make sure you don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all.